Good afternoon.
Judge Baker, would it be possible for you to send Mr. Innevoldsen into the breakout room?
Certainly.
Thank you.
And Judge, while they're having a visit, I'm going to step out of my office and have a talk with my client about the offers that are going back and forth.
Okay. And I don't know if someone with the department or St. Francis can reach out. Ms. Ramirez is not connected to audio. I've sent her, but
Lisa?
I think Mr. Ramirez, are you there with?
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Okay. That's fine, because if they're close by, we'll get a lot of feedback.
Thank you. We'll fix it.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, Ms. Ferguson, y'all need anything? Oh, you're muting.
Sorry. I was going to see if Mr. Jackson was available to talk.
I am. I'll go back to that breakout room.
Thank you. Sorry,
Thank you.
Your Honor. I'm trying.
I know, it's good.
Judge Baker?
Yes, sir.
The attorneys in the breakout room are wanting to have a bench conference with you.
Okay. I'll join
And
you.
I'll join.
Okay, first of all, Mr. Ramirez, I'm going to assign you to a breakout room 1 to speak privately with your attorney. So you're going to get a prompt, and if you'll just say join, then Ms. Ferguson, I'm going to move you to room 2. All right, looks like Mr. Shaw.
Before we get started, I don't think Mary's audio is working, so she may not. I don't know.
It's
That's what I was told.
they were in close proximity, so I don't know if they were just listening off the same device.
Can you hear? I don't know where Adrian went. There he is. They are in the same house. So Adrian, can you make sure your mom can hear what's going on?
For some reason her phone's not working, but she could hear off mine.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Are you all ready for me to call it?
Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
Your Honor. Can I ask for Mr. Innevoldsen to be excused? He's been waiting this time, and if we're not going forward with the hearing, I'd ask for him to be excused.
Okay. Is everybody on board with
No
Plan.
objection.
No
objections.
All right, Mr. Innevoldsen, thank you very much. You're free to go at this time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We are here today set for our final. We've had some developments in the case, and I think parties are trying to work some things out. And it sounds like we're going to go into an extension in the case, but we'll take that up in a minute. We are live streaming, and Ms. White is making our record. Okay. We'll go ahead and take announcements, and then we'll talk about our plan here.
Pamela Ferguson, Regional Attorney representing the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present and ready with Permanency Specialist Lisa Hooper and Supervisor Jasmine Dufresne, both from St. Francis Ministries.
Joel Jackson on behalf of the mother, Catherine Hartwig, present and ready, and my client is present in this room with me.
Ryan Brown on behalf of Adrian Ramirez, father, present and ready.
Jim Shaw, attorney ad litem.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Ms. Ferguson, I'll let you start.
Your Honor, in talking with the parties today, the department had been opposed to an extension in this case, but we would like to join in. I believe there was a motion for an extension, and the department at this time is making a verbal motion for an extension so that we can extend to this case. We would be asking the court to order that the parents continue to work their service plans. But also we were asking the court to, I believe the agreement of the parties was to ask the court to order a therapist to see both mom and the children in order to determine how best to move forward with that visitation relationship.
All right. So my understanding from bench conference is that you all are working towards an agreement that looks like the children will live with the grandmother, that she will be named as their sole managing conservator. Parents will be named as possessory conservators and have visitation rights, pay some child support, medical support, and that certainly is based on of course, their employment status or any Social Security or anything that might be involved in the number of children in their household and all those standard things. So the question, it seems, is that there's a doubt about whether or not we can get a family therapist to work with the family and make those progressive recommendations. All right. Yes, it's good to go to unsupervised. Yes, it's good to go to standard, those kinds of things. And so we know that we can get that through the department contractors. I expressed to council that my feeling was because there's some unknowns if we just tried to enter a final order today about getting those things accomplished. And if then if the family can't on their own get those things accomplished, then it kind of leaves them in a mess, for lack of a better word. But it was going to be a mess. So the court is the one that really tossed out the concept of let's just extend the case. I just think we'll have a more fluid transition and can continue to work towards this goal and this agreement. My understanding is Mr. Enevoldson is not going to be taking these cases for a whole lot longer. So I think we got to start looking at an alternative therapist to work with mom and children on family therapy and to give us those recommendations. So I don't know that there's any other options other than looking to a therapist in the Amarillo area. Is that kind of sum up where we think we're at?
Yes, Your Honor. And just to satisfy the family code on extensions, we would also be asking that the parents continue to work services and be ordered to do so.
Absolutely. I know everybody would love to have this sort of all over and done with today, but some of the questions that were coming to me, it just sounds to me we just don't have the details, worked out enough and know what's even feasible. The other part is, of course, Ms. Hartwig, that the department will still be paying those contractors for those services and, wouldn't be having to look to you to be financially, providing that. So I think there's some real benefit to just allow the department to stay in. I think there's some extraordinary circumstances that we don't even have to necessarily go into on YouTube today, but I think everybody's aware that mom has had some recent health issues, and so I don't want to talk about any of those specifics live streaming, but so I would want parents to continue with their services. They're still going to be subject to drug testing. Everything in that regard will stay the same. And if there's any services that haven't been completed, we'd love to see those completed. But I think the main focus here is making sure parents are staying clean, that it's safe and appropriate for them to be with the children, and then get everybody ramped up to where we can enter a final order, and not have a lot of step up and a lot of things to contend with at that point. Let's deal with it in the next 6 months. Let's get those things worked out. And hopefully when we're ready to turn the reins over to mom, dad, and grandmother, we'll have all those little hiccups ironed out. So, Mr. Jackson, is your client agreeable to the extension in the case?
Yes, ma'am, she's agreeable to that extension, and we would agree with the court's understanding of the rendition of the bench conference, with one exception. You had talked about naming the grandmother as sole managing and server. It's her understanding and mine that should be named permanent managing and server.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It may be a difference without a distinction.
The department would be dismissed.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I'm just using terminology more akin to
Yes, ma'am.
So,
That said, we're in agreement.
okay. All right, and Mr. Brown, obviously this is what you and your client were requesting, so I assume you're in agreement.
Yes, Your Honor.
The department has announced that they are now in agreement with this. Mr. Shaw, are you also in agreement with this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, and then I do find that there are extraordinary circumstances that warrant granting an extension in the case, and we will do that, and we will reset a new dismissal date in the case. Ms. Ferguson, I'll come back to you unless you know that right now.
I don't, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, I'll circle back to you here in a minute.
Okay.
Ms. Katie has tossed out a couple of dates that we could do our next review hearing on October 9th on a 1 o'clock docket. And then we'd like to set the final on February 10th at 1 o'clock. That is a Monday, so we just need to make sure you all are available. And
Judge, I'm looking at this and I think the 9th is the final will be too far out to be in compliance on that.
okay,
So let me look at what we have in November for this review. We could do November 13th, that one.
for the review.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, but the final would be the same.
Your
Yeah.
Honor, the department requested in November.
I'm sorry, I think we were talking over each other.
I was just,
Hey, give
go
me
ahead.
just a second. I've got my alarm company's calling me. Hang on.
Emily, you're asking for the final to be in November also?
Yes, just because I want to move the case along.
My apologies. I'm sorry. Okay. So maybe I misunderstood. So what are we setting on the 13th? A final?
Your Honor, the department would ask for a final. I mean, we can always ask for a continuance if it doesn't look like we're ready, but
Okay.
Well, if we're gonna do a final, you want these on Mondays. That's a Wednesday. And we have Bailey that morning. So
okay.
if there's a potential final that morning, which I don't think there will be, then she can't travel from Bailey all the way back to Floyd.
Okay. Well, then we're good with the review hearing on that date.
Well, if we could maybe do the November 18th, we could do a final then. Because we're closed for Veterans Day on the 11th.
We're just gonna set it for a final and not a review.
It could be both.
Both of them on the 18th?
Yeah, if things are rocking along, but we still need a little more time, then we can push the final out and still hold a review that day. But we'll set it as the final.
At 1 o'clock.
And let me make sure that's good for the reporter.
I'm hearing rumors of retirement.
141 days.
But who's counting?
Right now, November 18th looks clear on my calendar.
Okay.
I don't know about Nikki's, but mine's clear.
All right, so at 1 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. So we'll set the final then for November 18th, 2024 at 1 o'clock. Okay, so for today, then let's go ahead and have a quick review hearing. And I did not get a court report for today's hearing.
Your Honor, I apologize. I thought it was filed. I did see one, but I'll have to double check to see. I could be wrong. I've had a lot of cases, but I thought this one was filed. Let me see.
I'd have to go downstairs to check, which I could do if I need to. But
No, it's okay. I can send it to the court too.
I don't see one.
I could have been wrong because I'm not finding one.
Well, just then let's go ahead and conduct a review and bear in mind that I haven't seen any updates. So normally I just ask y'all for anything that's new since the court report was filed. But so let's just go ahead and have an update since our last hearing.
Sure.
Do you want me to go ahead?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Not a lot has changed since the last court hearing. Mother has drug tested for us and everything's been negative. We are having concerns with the place that we send Adrian to in Amarillo. Every time he goes, they can't find his paperwork. And then when I call up there, they find it. So, and the only day he can go is on Saturday. So, I may have to call the place and make sure they have the paperwork in the front. I want to have to visit with them to see how we can keep that from happening because it's happened several times. The boys continue to do well. With placement, they have not had any serious doctor's appointments, nothing like that. They are going to tutoring twice a week, or they were for the month of July, with their teacher that they had last year. She has retired, but she did go through tutoring with them for the month of July just to help them kind of stay so they don't forget a lot before school starts again. So they will have a new teacher in the fall. So and they will have a very good teacher. I know her, so she's really good. With Adrian, his drug test for June, the hair was positive. He did go drug test in July and he had a UA only, and it was positive also for methamphetamines. But we haven't got him tested yet this month. So I'm still working on that to get the place to have his paperwork on file when he does go there. So Mother continues to do counseling with Cordy Grimes. I have requested counseling notes from him, but I have not received anything yet. And I believe that's about really all the update there is. Boys are doing great. Grandma's doing a super job taking care of them. And they're ready for school. So I think that they're doing very well.
Okay, great. Okay, Mr. Jackson, anything to report today?
Just had a quick question, Your Honor, if I could. Ms. Hooper, you were present in the courtroom when the judge announced how we were intending to move with this case under the understanding of the agreement that we have today. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And we're going to try to find someone to counsel with the mother and the kids therapeutically in the future to make recommendations. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
And so my question to you is that between now and the time that we get that therapeutic counseling established, is Catherine going to be able to continue to have her supervised visitations that she's been getting?
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. And you don't expect that to change?
No.
Okay. All right. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Brown?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. And Mr. Shaw?
Judge, the children are doing well. The grandmother's very attentive to the kids, and so I think this is a very good placement.
Okay. Mr. Brown, anything to add today as far as your client's concerned?
He is he's in AA. He has told me he's been sober. I'm not sure, and his levels seem to be going down. I would like to see this next drug test though.
Okay. All right, Ms. Ramirez, I know you don't have audio set up on your device, but if we could talk to you through Mr. Ramirez just for a minute. You understand we're kind of we're extending this to try to work towards getting all these details worked out.
Your Honor, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you for taking good care of the boys, and it sounds like they're doing really well. So we'll set about trying to get all these things resolved over the next several months, and hopefully by November, maybe we will be there.
Hope so. Hope so. But thank you so much. Yes, the boys are doing very good, and so am I.
Okay, great. All right then. Anybody else have anything that we need to address today?
No, ma'am.
All right, then, for today, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I will continue the children's current placement. I find there would be a continuing and ongoing danger to return the children home today, but that we are obviously working on all that, working on heading in the right direction with all this, with parents and with grandmother. We'll get the family counseling, therapeutic counseling engaged with mom and the children. And obviously parents will continue their work under their service plans. And then I'll see everybody back November 18th of 2024 at 1 o'clock for our final. If we have a sense when we're getting close to that date that we're not ready, if y'all, if we can take that up via email or something, because
Yes.
if I don't need to make the trip to Silverton, that's great. But I think we'll know whether we're ready or we're not at that point. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody. Y'all have a good rest of your afternoon.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank
Swat,
you.
Thank you, Judge.
so much.
Thank you. Judge Baker, can I have a breakout room with Mary Ramirez and Jim Shaw?
Sure. Person, you need something?
Yes, Judge Baker, we're having trouble getting Mary Ramirez to unmute. And I was also going to ask if Lisa Hooper and Jasmine can join us in the breakout room. And I think we're in breakout room.
Y'all are
I
in
think-
two.
Yeah.
Two. Okay. Let me move them in.
Thank you.
Just a minute. My controls went away for some strange reason, but
Sorry.
no. It's okay.
I'm trying to get this case over. I promise.
All right, Ms. Hooper, Ms. Dever, I'm assigning you all to two. You can get yourself back there.
Yes. Thank you, Judge.
Stand by.
Set. Oh, I need some ice packs.
That's good.
All right, we're gonna put him on his hold on it, one under his neck. Yeah. We have rapid pulse, slurring his words, dry skin,
What's wrong with it?
heat exhaustion, which we are not gonna let turn into heat stroke. Okay. His temperature's 104. We have to keep his temperature from getting to 106, otherwise he's at risk for seizure.
I'm dead. I know, because he's still here.
Keep talking, okay?
Okay. Did you see Lester trying to rush the accent? You're here, ladies. It's just so there's some.
She soaked through her bandages. I need more buzz.
No.
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah, stay with us.
I looked. I don't know where my dad kept the blueprints. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm being bumped. We can find the maintenance at your house. I can do it. Yes, you can. You're up. I'll meet you on the other side. Help pull everybody out. People are baking down there. I can help. You will help when I decide to get me on. I'm trying to remind you, he's again. Okay. Yeah, you had to do everything. The strongest, fastest. It's my part-time job, real new in. Yeah, but the difference is listen to me now. Bodie's an asset. Assets meant to be used. Rope system set up. Coming with me. Ready for a second rescue. I do not want to regret this. You do what I say, when I say, how I say. What was your job?
What's your name? Where are you? I'm Joanne. I'm stuck in a box with my ex-squad. Real joke. Okay. Any under?
Judge,
Yes, sir.
Mary Ramirez is having some technical difficulties, and I
Okay.
thought that the quickest solution would be, rather than try to restart, download, yada yada. Well, I just made sure that Adrian didn't have any other questions, and then he can give his phone to her, and then you would put him into the breakout room with, his login with Pamela, and I think the ad litem lawyer.
Okay.
So there's his mom and he are just going to switch devices right now, just because they've got to talk to her, or else none of this is going to work.
Okay, I'll move what's labeled as his device into the room with, and you want that in with Mr. Shaw and the rest of them.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was Miss Ferguson, Mary, and I think it was him too. I don't remember though.
And I think, I'm not sure, but when I move people into breakout rooms, I think it automatically mutes them, but we'll try. I can always hop in that room and see if I can't assist her to get that unmuted. But let me move
Well, he was with her, and I think it's a software issue. I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with the quickest solution. So if I'm wrong, then disregard what I'm saying. But I just was trying to fix it.
No. Okay, yeah, it could be a problem with that. So okay, let me move that device into room 2. Mr. Ramirez,
okay.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I did. Yeah,
This is very confusing, I know, but
I know. I'm sorry.
because they've essentially switched devices.
I know. And he's with his mom and wanting to talk to his attorney in the breakout room.
All right, so do I just need to put Ryan in there with you all?
I guess so, but Jim just came out, so I'm really confused.
I just let him back in. So I don't know what happened. I had to let him in again a little bit earlier.
No, I just keep getting knocked out. I don't know why.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So Jim, you're the easy one. I'm going to put you back to room 2. Okay, now I can assign Mr. Brown to room 2.
Let's do that. I think that would be easier, and let's just.
And he's there with his mom, so they could talk off the same device.
Yeah, yes, they are.
The one is already assigned there. I'd have to move them out and then move them back.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm very sorry.
No, it's fine.
Thank you. Judge Baker.
Yes, ma'am.
I hope this is the last request.
No problem.
Can we have a breakout room with the attorneys?
Yes. Okay, I've got Ms. Hooper, I've got one of the Ramirez devices and Ms. Devereaux all still in there.
Can we leave them in there just in case we have to go back in there? It's easier for us to go back and forth than for them to.
Okay, so just attorneys?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to move y'all to 3. All right. All right, I still have, let's see, the one device that was originally logged in by Mr. Ramirez.
He was having problems unmuting, and so we had her come in on another phone. So that may be it.
Okay, excuse me, and Ms. Hooper, but they've got another couple seconds before all those rooms will close out. It should force them.
Maybe they're talking. I don't know.
I think it'll just force them back in. There we go. Hang on, yeah. I'm sorry, I've moved my paperwork somewhere here real quick. Okay, I've got it. All right, we're here set today for our final. We are conducting this through Zoom under finding good cause and agreement of the parties, and we are live streaming. Ms. Wyatt is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Pamela Ferguson, Regional Attorney representing the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I am present and ready with Permanency Specialist Lisa Hooper and Supervisor Jasmine Devereaux, both from St. Francis Ministries.
Joel Jackson on behalf of the mother, Catherine Hartwood, present and ready, Your Honor.
Ryan Brian Brown for Adrian Ramirez, present and ready.
Jim Shaw, attorney ad litem.
All right, very good, thank you. Okay, Ms. Ferguson, how many witnesses you?
Your Honor, I believe that we have an agreement to announce, but I do need, I don't see Mary Ramirez. She needs to be joined to the case. Maybe she's there.
She's here with me.
Okay. So I do need her to agree to be joined as a party to the case, and then we can proceed to announce the agreement.
All right, Ms. Ramirez, have they been talking with you about that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your
Okay.
Honor.
And you think you understand what they're asking of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and is that your agreement to be named as a party in the case?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, counsel, any objections?
No, Your Honor.
No objection.
No
No
objection.
objection.
Ms. Ferguson, how are you classifying her, as an intervener or?
Yes, we were just asked that she be joined as a necessary party. Because the agreement is to transfer permanent managing conservatorship to her.
Okay, all right. Okay, then, all right, you may proceed.
Okay, I will just announce the agreement, and then I will have the other parties chime in if they feel like I left something out or if something needs to be clarified, because it's kind of a big encompassing agreement. So it's my understanding the parties agree for the department to be dismissed and for Mary Ramirez to be appointed as sole managing conservator of the children. We would be asking for Catherine Hartwig to be, and for Adrian Ramirez to be appointed as possessory conservators of the children. We are asking at this time for, let me just announce the visitation agreement, and then I'm sorry, Your Honor, I'm not clear on if we have an agreement as to child support. I think that we do. I think both parties are in agreement to pay child support. We would be asking for that, but I didn't get an amount, so agreed to. So let me just announce the visitation first. So for Dad's visitation, we would be asking that he be supervised with the children. And that his weekends be the second and fourth weekend. We would ask for his visits to be supervised in a step up. So the first 3 months that he be supervised up to 6 hours on Saturdays. And that can be by agreement between himself and Mary Ramirez as to the times on the second and fourth weekends. At the end of a 3-month period, we would be asking him to provide a hair strand to Miss Ramirez, and if it is negative, that he progress to unsupervised visits for and I believe it's then we would be asking for him to do a month of overnights. So on each weekend of that month, that he have an overnight visit from like noon on Saturday to noon on Sunday. That then if he provides another negative hair strand to Miss Ramirez, that he can progress to standard visitation. We would ask that Miss Ramirez have the ability to request a hair strand on either parent if she suspects that they have that may become an issue prior to their visitation period. We would ask that all hair strands be provided at the expense of that parent. We would ask that if Ms. Ramirez does ask for a hair strand outside of the regular schedule that allows her to ask for a hair strand, if the parent is negative, then she will split the cost of the hair strand with that parent. moving on to Miss Hartwig's visitation, we would ask that for the first 6-month period that she be supervised by Christy Craig, who is the maternal grandmother of the children, that her visits take place on the first and third weekends of the month, and that she be supervised for 6 hours on the first and third weekends of the month for that 6-month period. At the end of a 3-month period, we would ask that she provide Miss Ramirez with a and so we'll call that period 1. So at the end of the first 3 months of that period, we would ask that she provide Miss Ramirez with a hair strand and that it be negative. And that then she progresses to 3 more months of supervised visitation. And if at the end of that period, she has also provided a negative hair strand to Miss Ramirez, that then she can progress to unsupervised. And then the next 3-month period, we would ask that she be unsupervised with the children during that period on the first and third weekends of the month for 6 hours. And if she provides a negative hair strand at the end of that period, then we would ask that she progress to 1 month of overnights. And at the end of that period, if she provides another negative hair strand, that she progress to standard visitation. And so for father's standard visitation, it would be on the first and it would be on the second and fourth weekends of the month. For mother's standard visitation, it would be the first and third, and the grandmother would get the 5th weekend.
Okay.
Yes,
for
go ahead.
For purposes of that standard possession order, mother will have, you'll have to end up assigning holidays and all that, so mother would have those.
I think we have an agreement as to that as well, Your Honor. I think we agreed that holidays on the even years would be father and grandmother, and holidays on the odd years would be mother.
All holidays?
Or just Christmas, Your Honor.
Okay.
And every other holiday, then it would be covered by the weekend that it falls on. I think Christmas was the big one.
Okay.
Also, we did have some injunctions that we agreed to. So we were asking that there be an injunction that the children not have any contact at all with Scott Martin. That we've also agreed to an injunction that the children not have any contact with sorry, I wrote it down and I think I've promptly lost it. I don't know what. Oh, there it is. Rodolfo Martinez. And we're also asking for an injunction that during mom's periods of visitation, and that includes standard visitation, that the children not be left alone with any adult other than Catherine Hartwig, who is mom, or maternal grandmother Christy Craig.
Yes.
And then we would just, the department would ask for a standard injunction to ask for grandma to have the ability to deny visitation if she believes that either parent is under the influence at the time of they come to pick the kids up for a visit. And also that both parents be enjoined from using alcohol within a 24-hour period prior to possession of the children, and also, obviously from using drugs as well.
So drugs or alcohol?
Yeah, drugs or alcohol.
All right. Anything further, Ms. Ferguson?
And then we would be asking for each parent to be to pay child support I'm not aware of their current employment, so we would ask child support at minimum wage for both parents. And mom does have 2 children in her care, so I guess maybe the court could consider that as well.
See, no, it's not me much.
What about medical support?
And we would be asking for standard medical support, which I believe is $50.
Medicaid.
That's what they're starting.
All right, anything else?
I believe that's it, but I'll let the parties chime in if I forgot something.
I'm gonna check with everybody. All right, then, Mr. Jackson, is that you and your client's agreement or any things to add or talk about?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to go over a few things with you. First of all, some of the things that I don't recall in our discussion is for the paternal grandmother to be able to request a hair follicle if it becomes necessary. I keep in mind for the court that my client's going to be subject to a hair strand test every 90 days. So she could feasibly be requested to do that every 30 to 45 days. If the paternal grandmother would want a drug test, I mean, we don't have a problem at all with a urinalysis, but I think that a hair follicle more often than every 90 days is a bit invasive for my client. I'd ask the court to take that into consideration. Ms. Ferguson's right. All we did discuss for the holidays was just Christmas, but I would note that I was referring to all holidays, including Christmas, Thanksgiving, spring break, Mother's Day, Father's Day, all those things that go with standard possession visitation. And that way everybody gets to share those holidays and nobody's kept from a single holiday, and even odd numbered years. And then on the I don't know what the court wants to do with this. I take it that as far as the grandmother being able to have the ability to deny visitation if they're using, I mean, I guess if a person wanted to abuse that, they certainly could. It gives me concern. I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but I'd like a little more strict language about that if the court could advise me in that regard. And then finally, as far as medical support, I don't have a problem with that. The kids are on Medicaid. I would ask the court to kindly consider splitting that cost of $50 a month at $25 each per party. My clients just had twins. She's not employed. Money's tight, and we would agree to guideline child support with 2 kids that are before the court, and she's obligated to support 2 other kids. And that's all I have, Your Honor.
All right, let me take this one thing at a time. I think the easy one is the medical support. Since both parents are paying, I will go along and say $25 each on the medical support.
Thank you.
Okay, on the frequency of the hair tests, seems to me, I mean, you've built in for her to have one every 90 days. Now, so let me tie that back into grandmother's ability to either deny visitation because she suspects use or something. It seems to me maybe what we could do is that if she suspects that either parent's under the influence and denies visitation, she can request at that time that they would go submit to a test. That could be one of those that she could use. If parent comes back negative, they would get makeup visitation somehow.
Judge, are you referring to a UA or a hair strand test on that?
Well, I would think if she's suspecting that they're under the influence, you'd want a UA because that's more the here and the now.
Thank you.
But you know, I don't know quite where you draw the line here because you're giving her the.
And
it would be easier to say she can request a hair strand, you know, no more than once every 90 days.
I agree.
Okay. And Your Honor, I think I misspoke. What I meant with her ability to ask for history was during the standard visitation period if she suspects drug use.
All right, so if we stick with the scheme that you had during the step up, and then we just say that she would have the right to deny access during the standard possession, is that where you're talking about?
Well, no, I mean, that was a separate thing. Like at any time when somebody shows up, if somebody shows up intoxicated to take the kids, that she would have the ability to deny the visit.
Well, I'll tell you, I think I've got the easier fix on that. If somebody shows up and she thinks they're intoxicated, I suggest she calls law enforcement
Okay.
and let them deal with it. If, in my experience is, if a parent is truly under the influence, they probably aren't going to hang around for law enforcement. They're going to leave. And that kind of takes care of itself. But if they aren't under the influence, law enforcement could be called and, determine yes or no. But I will just caution Ms. Ramirez, I mean, that's not to be used lightly because we don't want to be calling out law enforcement on things where we aren't pretty darn sure that there's a problem. But the problem is that that's a I mean, it could be used as a sword. I'll tell you honestly, I've never been crazy about those provisions, which give someone that authority to deny access. The advice I gave clients for many, many years was if the other parent shows up and you really think they're impaired, if you're that concerned or you're that convinced that they're under the influence of something, call law enforcement. And if
Thank you.
that
was
it
was something that the department proposed. I don't think Ms. Ramirez proposed it. That was something that I normally request when we do orders like this, just to give the protective parent or the grandparent the ability to protect the children. That's all.
And I think as a conservator, you always have the right and the duty to protect the children. And so if you think that someone is showing up that wants to load them up in a car that's impaired, then I think that's your remedy.
With that said, Judge, it's my understanding that Mr. Ramirez lives next door to the sheriff there in Briscoe County. Not a far piece to walk.
No, it's not. So, the presumption is, of course, is that she's going to be protective of the children, which is why everybody's reaching this agreement. So whether he's on foot or whether he's in the car, I mean, we have to assume that she's going to exercise the same protective measures. And therefore nothing has to be said in the order about giving her the authority to deny access. She just needs to act in a protective capacity. And if that means, someone is trying to forcibly remove the children from her that she thinks is under the influence, then 911 all the way. So I'm not trying to dictate your agreement, but if we have a problem with that,
No.
that's my suggestion.
That's fine, Your Honor. We will leave that out.
Okay, then.
But at the same time, Your Honor, we have talked to Ms. Ramirez and I just want to tell all the parties that the department still expects that she take whatever measures necessary to make sure the children are not going with somebody who is under the influence.
Absolutely. Which will be one of her listed duties as a conservator to protect the children. So All right, so then with respect to the holiday visitation, if mother has first and third weekends, why shouldn't her holiday possession just be tied to what would normally go to if there was a singular possessory conservator? Whatever under the normal standard possession order goes to the parent who gets first and third, that goes to mom.
Okay.
And then he has second and fourth, so what normally under the code then would go to the primary conservator would go to dad. Everybody follow what I'm saying?
Judge, as I understand, the parties are gonna be awarded, the mother's either gonna get even or odd years, and the father's gonna get either even or odd years under the second and fourth weekends. So you're just gonna split it like you would under a standard possession order.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's the most fair way to do it. Recognizing that the parties are always free to agree to something different. You know, if it works better one year for somebody to have them for Christmas and the other one have Thanksgiving, and you know, absolutely work it out. But absent agreement, I think it needs to be spelled out like it would normally be if you've got one, the primary, you know, joint managing conservator, and then the non-primary conservator.
So since I don't do a lot of these, Your Honor, in fact, I haven't done a standard possession order in probably 4 years. I don't know, is it odds or evens that go to first and thirds? I don't.
Well, it depends on the holidays. I mean, so I don't have,
Okay.
I don't possession order in front of me, but
Okay.
surely somebody can kick you out a pre-populated standard possession order.
Right. So the father will get what a normal managing conservator gets, and mom will get what a normal possessory conservator gets. Okay.
Since you've tied them to those, or wait a minute, other way, hang on. Correct. Father's got second and fourth weekend, so yes.
Okay.
That would have to, you know, it doesn't affect holidays with fifth weekend, but obviously we're contemplating the children would stay with grandmother on the fifth weekend.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's about all I can offer with what Mr. Jackson's concerns were. So and if you're tying father and, let me just say this, if you're tying father and paternal grandmother's visits together, which it sounds like you were,
Yes, ma'am.
then it would need to read that way.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, let me change something up real quick. All right, then, Mr. Brown, is this you and your client's agreement?
That's it. I had something to add, but it was covered, so we're good.
Okay. Neither parent has health insurance, private health insurance?
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay. All right. All right, and Mr. Shaw.
Judge, I do not have a concern with the visitation. Both of the parents are seem to be good with the children. The children do not have fear of the parents. The only concern that myself and the paternal grandmother had was the third parties. And I believe that the injunctions and the requirement for the parents to be with the children and not be around other individuals will take care of that. With that being said, I agree with the agreement.
I can't, as long as you are.
Okay.
Your Honor, can I ask for some clarification?
Yes.
I just wanted to, I don't know if the court ruled on, did you rule no alcohol or drugs for a 24-hour period prior to possession?
That's what you told me you all had agreed to, so I have it in my notes as part of
Is
the.
anybody in objection to that?
No objection.
And also for the drug test after it progresses to standard, does grandma just need to call CPS if she has concerns?
I'm not gonna, I mean,
Because she won't have the ability to ask for any more drug tests after that.
well, I suppose she's like any other primary conservator at that point in time.
Okay.
She can either, I mean, I think at that point, she's like any other private party. I mean, she can file a motion with the court to modify visitation. I mean,
Okay.
the department's gonna be out of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we aren't here to handle people's private family law disputes. So, you know, I don't think that would be appropriate. Certainly if the department was remaining as a party, but if the department's being dismissed, she's just like everybody else out there with a conservatorship order.
Well, we had talked everybody amongst ourselves that if a parent tested positive or something, that they would go back to the supervised period of possession. So I guess that just happens until they hit standard, and then they're all on their own.
Well, I mean, are you saying your agreement is that if a parent tests positive, then they revert back to the beginning of the step up?
Yes.
Actually,
Okay.
Judge, it was, if they had made it to the standard, they would revert back to the prior phase, not
To the
first.
supervised. Yeah.
That wasn't my understanding. It was the last phase that they were in.
Well, we would, okay.
I heard going back to the beginning. That's what I remember from the discussions.
Well, it seems to me if we've got a positive drug screen, then we would certainly go back to a level that is supervised. And then start working up from there. But again, y'all tell me, I mean.
Yes, Your Honor, that was my proposal to the parties, but we talked about so much that it's very hard to know if we had a full agreement on that.
Okay, so if either parent tests positive on a drug screen, then is everybody agreeable that their visitation revert back to the supervised level?
Agreed, Your Honor.
Okay.
We're fine with that.
And that, I mean, that would be for at any point in time, whether they're in their step up or whether they're in standard possession or correct?
Well, Your Honor, that was the idea, but if grandma no longer has the ability to ask them to take a drug test after they hit standard, then that was the concern. The department's trying to put an agreement in place that will keep the parties going without the necessity of the involvement of the department in the future. So
Okay. So that would only be until they reach standard possession.
yes, and because if grandma doesn't have the ability after that to ask for a drug test, then I guess she'll have to take private measures, other measures.
Correct. All right, is everybody agreeable to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anybody have anything further?
Your Honor, I would like to add a couple of things that we had discussed that haven't yet to the court. We had discussed whether we had a written order or not. I think Ms. Ferguson said she'd probably have one for us, but my client's
Oh, yeah.
visitation would begin on the first Saturday of December. That'd be December the 7th for her first period of visitation. And also, my client had agreed under general terms and conditions of the order, that she's agreed to pick up and drop off the children in Briscoe County.
Is all that fine?
Yes, Your Honor, that's what we agreed to.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, anything further?
No, ma'am.
Nope.
All right, then. I will adopt the agreement has been announced and refined, and find that it is in the best interest of the children. I'll dismiss the department and all court-appointed attorneys at this time. And Ms. Ferguson, I guess, will prepare the order. She may need some assistance from one of you that has got quick access to a standard possession order. Particularly as complex as these can be when you've got.
Your Honor, I think I can dig one out. I've done one. For me, it's always two parents. So being possessory.
So anyway, if everybody just look over the order, and then this will be attorney signature only.
Okay.
Okay. All right, then I will look for that order and then sign that when that's presented. Mom's visitation will begin, as was announced, December 7th, I think.
Yes.
And I wish everybody the best of luck. Thank y'all for working it out. And I hope everything goes smoothly for y'all. All right. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good rest of your day.
Judge, could Ms. Ferguson and I get into a breakout room? I guess we can go back to room 3 again, since we've already been there, if that's all right with you.
I closed all the rooms, so I'll have to reassign you.
Thank you.
So give me just a second and I will do that.
10 to 4.
And Your Honor, while all the attorneys are on, I feel like I probably am going to need to get Mary Ramirez to also sign the order. So I know it's attorney only, but can I get her to sign?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, since she doesn't have a signed counsel. All right, then. Let me see. Let me try to set this up. Mr. Jackson, just you and Ms. Ferguson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Is everybody else okay to go ahead and leave?
I guess so.
All right.
Yes.
Wyatt, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'll leave this feed up till I see you guys have left.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Uh-huh.